Hey dreamers, visionaries, and revolutionaries, it's the Ratchet Sage, and I'm back with another deep dive into systems that serve you. And last time we talked about identifying failing systems and why they're holding you back. But today we're getting into the nitty-gritty of exactly how to transform those failing systems into authentic ass systems that actually work for you. We working with this over here, actionable safe spaces, and you want to make sure you have that in your systems so that they do work for you. And if you are ready to transform your failing systems into authentic ones that actually work, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss out on any updates from my channel. I'm going to be talking about failing systems and what they hit like for coaches, freelancers, and solopreneurs, and making sure you have actionable steps on what you can do about this so you don't want to miss out on anything. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share this video if it hits for anybody you know might need it. So back to what we were talking about, right? In our last episode, we talked about some amazing things. We got into the 3 main signs of failing systems and why your systems are out here failing you. And spoiler alert, it's because best practices cannot hold your greatness. And what other people are out here doing is not going to work for you because you're doing something different. So this is all about you having a bespoke system that is aligned with your natural workflow. And many of these systems are actually human made. They're not technological, but to get the right technological systems for you and your business, you're going to need the right human made systems. So it's all about fixing the systems that are not working for you, but you cannot fix them while you're running at full speed. So we talked about my aircraft principle and how you cannot fix a plane while it is flying. And so you want to make sure that you are not trying to fix your business while it's running at full speed, and also therefore fixing the systems that are involved. So there is a need for strategic pauses and proper system maintenance. We talked about all of that in the last video. And in this video, we are going to talk about exactly how you can do that. How exactly do you unlock your business potential and get these custom systems that you need as a coach or a freelancer or a solopreneur? Because it's a little bit different depending upon what you got going on. And even though in the last meeting, not the last meeting, actually the last video I did in my first episode here, starting off this new campaign that I'm doing here on my YouTube channel, I made sure y'all understood that your systems should serve you, not the other way around. We're not here to work the system, work the system, work the system. We're not administrators in our business. Our responsibility is to lead the business with our dream, our vision, or our revolution. And so at the end of the day, if your systems are not serving you, then they're not helping you with your dream, your vision, or your revolution. And what we're talking about today is going to help you figure out what's missing and what's stopping you from doing that. There are 3 critical elements that are needed to do that, to have systems that serve you instead of the other way around. And if you don't have those 3 critical elements, you're going to be dealing with a world of hurt. So we're going to make sure you understand what those elements are so that you can avoid that. And we'll also make sure you understand why best practices are going to fail you if you're a coach, a freelancer, and a solopreneur by doing, I'm going to give you 3 real life examples of clients who have come to me so that you'll understand how that works. And then we'll go beyond the missing critical elements and the failing best practices so that you can see by changemaker type, how do you leverage strategic pause protocols? What are the implementation strategies you should take based upon what I'm saying? I always want to make sure you walk away with something that you can implement after you learn something from me. And so we're going to close out with that like we always do. So like I said in the last video, your system should serve you, not the other way around. And in today's video, we're going to break down how you can do that with where you are in your entrepreneurial journey. So let's talk about the issue at hand, right? Lacking the right foundational systems and strategic pauses for you, that is a failing system. And then we end up having this failing system because of how we decenter truth and humanity when we center business practices and strategic processes. And what that boils down to is because somebody said this is the way to do it, we just decenter our own truth. We decenter our own humanity. A common example I tend to give is someone will say, oh, the best place for you to build your website is on WordPress. And all you got to do is go here And buy this, it's super cheap. Set up a WordPress website. Well, for someone who's not technologically savvy, doesn't develop and code, and isn't up on all the changes to all the plugins in the WordPress world, getting a WordPress website as a coach, a freelancer, and a solopreneur is a whole mistake. And so it's our dedication to decentering our own truth. If you're not those things and you know that to be your truth, you know what your humanity is dealing with right now. You can't afford for this situation that you're trying to do to fail. So you got to decenter these best practices and these suggestions from these strategic gurus who don't know you and don't know your truth, and they don't know what you're dealing with and where you're trying to go and what you got to get there. So it's super important that when you are creating foundational systems and strategic pauses for you, these are the foundational systems that will ensure that you're not building on top of it a failing system. You're going to need these three critical elements that are missing from most systems. And these three critical elements are inspiration, feedback, and connection. And so as I'm going through each of these, I'm going to be telling you what you're going to be missing, like what you're not going to have in your life as a coach, a freelancer, and a solopreneur if you are missing the right inspiration for you. And I want you to think about, am I missing this? There's a lot of people, when I ask them, I said, do you have the right inspiration, feedback, and connection for you? They go, oh yeah, I'm connected. I'm doing this. I'm inspired by this. I get feedback from these places. That doesn't mean it's the right one for you. And so the right inspiration for you, which is the first part of that foundational system you need, inspiration that is right for you will verify your vision. Doesn't mean it's always going to say it's the right thing to do. Yes, yes, yes. It's not here to glorify it. It's here to verify it. Verify, is this right? Check it off, Kind of like that pesky aunt that's like checking over the dishes to make sure you actually wash them, right? That's what inspiration can be like. If something doesn't truly inspire you, is it really in alignment with your vision? If you are saying, oh, I want to do this newsletter and get it out this way, and you read the newsletter in the end and you're not inspired, you're not super excited to get it out, you just feel like you just have to because you said you were going to get a newsletter out, or that's what people do in my industry, they get newsletters out, it's a failing system. And so when you don't have inspiration that verifies your vision, it looks like operating in the trap of conventional limitations and not being able to push past established boundaries. Your energy and your motivation is just constantly waning or straight up depleted on a regular basis. You'd be losing touch with how you authentically run your business and how you authentically do things. You normally write everything down on a Post-it note and go through all your Post-it notes by the end of the day, but you ain't did that in 3.5 weeks. Inspiration that you are, either you have no inspiration or the inspiration you have is not verifying your vision. If you have no inspiration, it's not verifying your vision. And that's super, super important. You do not want to miss your unique foundation for transformative business growth. And that's the type of inspiration that you need, and that works for you. So, are you missing the right foundational system for you? In the second bucket, you missing the right feedback for you? Because the right feedback for you will validate your direction. It looks like you're not having the right qualitative or quantitative feedback. So you don't know how to get the right input from your team, your stakeholders, your clients. You're missing quality customer testimonials and things like that. Just putting a quote up on your site ain't gonna do it, boo. You need a quality customer testimonial and experiences for people to be drawn to and drawn from. You're working in isolation without guidance. These are all ways that you will lack qualitative feedback. And you will lack quantitative feedback when you don't have clear metrics to measure your success. You don't know how to track your goals. So you have no idea whether or not they're actually being met. And you're flying blind without performance data. But there are other ways that you will notice if I have feedback, it's not validating my direction and it's not really supporting me. You have systems optimization challenges. You're not sure how to go beyond where you're at right now. How do I make things better? than the way that we currently approach things. And your operations are disconnected from your strategic objectives. So you're saying you want to go north, but for some reason, your operations keep taking you south. That's not going to support you. And that doesn't leave you with a clear path for long-term growth. So these are all signs that you have system optimization challenges. And all of this is smelling the smoke that you have a fire, that your feedback that you do have is not validating your direction. And if you have no feedback, it can't validate your direction. There are other ways that you can tell that you have feedback that's not supporting you and it's not a good foundational system for you. You'll have limited feedback channels. You either have a single source of feedback or none at all. Like, it's just not enough. And you're not prioritizing regular check-ins and reviews with the people that matter. And so you just don't have the capacity and capability for systemic evaluation. That's not going to support you. You're not monitoring your system, so you don't even know what the health of your systems are. Even if they're working and everything is jiving and everybody's happy, and you've evaluated that, if you can't evaluate the system that's making sure everything is working, you evaluate everything at the end of the year and go, this is wonderful. We can definitely hit our mark next year. But you can't make sure that the system will not fail you at the end of the year. That's like, I can definitely make my mark as long as my car doesn't fail me. But you're not getting the car maintained to make sure that it can make it where you're trying to go. Ooh, failing system. All right. And last but not least, the third foundational system that you need is connection, because connection sustains your growth. So while you have inspiration verifying your vision, you have feedback validating your direction, you have connection that sustains your growth. And when you don't have this connection that sustains your growth, doesn't mean you don't have connection. I hope as a human being you have connection. But if you don't have the right connection for you as a coach, a freelancer, or a solopreneur, you will be struggling to initiate and maintain professional relationships. You'll be isolated and unsupported in your professional journey. You don't have these networks that people keep talking about, and you're trying to figure out, where did these networks come from? And I don't want them to be just filled with anybody. I want them to be filled with people who actually understand my path, understand my truth, understand where I'm going, why I do the things I do, and how I get down. And you won't have different viewpoints. You won't have that person to tell you, boo, you're out of pocket. You won't have that person that will tell you, I mean, I love it, but I don't think they're going to love it. And let's talk about why that's not good for you. You won't have the pushback queens. You need a pushback queen in your life. You can't have yes men around you all the time. And it's super important that you have that. And without connection, you're not getting connected to these people. You might be acquainted with them. They may know you. You may know of them, but there is not enough connection for you to actually get the juice out of all of this. And so you'll have difficulty finding people who really understand your unique challenges and the path that you're on. You'll be struggling to create environments where you can be your authentic self. So you're just jumping into everybody's community to seeking connection, but you can't even be yourself. So are you really connecting, or are you just there? You're just there, boo. And I don't want you to have that. And so this is all about you having the right personal and professional relationships to keep you going while you're on this journey of being a coach, a freelancer, or a solopreneur. And especially as you start to evolve from dreamer to visionary to revolutionary, you are going to need even more of this inspiration, feedback, and connection. So I really want you to let me know in the comments below, which foundational system do you think you will struggle with the most, or have been struggling with the most? Because a lot of times, like I said earlier, I'll ask people, what's going on with your inspiration? What's going on with your feedback? What's going on with your connection? And they'll go, it's so great. I just love it. I love my life. I mean, usually we don't get into entrepreneurship and keep going with entrepreneurship if we don't feel like we have a semblance of inspiration, feedback, and connection. But baby, like I just broke down for you, if you don't have the right inspiration, feedback, and connection for you, it will not be verifying your vision. It will not be validating your direction, and it will not be sustaining your growth. And so you might feel like you're failing, and you're not. You're just operating with a failing system, a failing inspiration system, a failing feedback system, a failing connection system. And these are foundational systems for all the other systems you're going to need as a coach, a freelancer, and a solopreneur. And we are going to be talking about these throughout the whole of 2025 as I'm doing this whole campaign on my YouTube channel. I want y'all to understand how this works. What are failing systems? What are they doing to you? And why are they stopping from you? Because at the end of the day, you are here to change the world, and you're going to, if you don't let your failing system stop you. It's not you. It's not your solution. It's not how you get down. It's not your truth. It's the system. We got to make sure we have a system that fits all of that. And when it doesn't, you're going to be not cooking with hot grease. You're going to be cooking, I don't know, with ice, and that's not going to support you. Okay. So let's talk about the context at play, because we just talked about the issue at hand, but the context at play is that this plays out differently for coaches, freelancers, and solopreneurs, depending upon whether they are a dreamer, a visionary, or a revolutionary. And so I'm going to give you some examples of a coach that came into Authentic Distinctions world and how they needed to fix it with their inspiration, feedback, and connection. If you have these failing foundational systems, the rest of the systems that you put on top of these and layer on top of them and build on top of them are going to fail as well, right? So you want to make sure that these foundational systems are straight so that you and the rest of what you build on top of it are straight. But it looks a little bit different for coaches than it does for freelancers, than it does for solopreneurs. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about a coach that came into my world. I'll say a name because it doesn't matter who this person is. But this coach came into my world and was all about, I've lost touch with the way that I used to do things. When I first got into being a coach, I would sit down with people. I had my own little flair, pizzazz, and that's why people came to me. And it was all the things, but they had started copying other coaches' systems. And this happens in a lot of niche industries where, coaching is this very specific industry, and other industries do the same thing where you end up looking at what everybody else in your industry is doing. And you're like, okay, well, I guess I should do it like them. Well, that's a failing system because you will lose touch with your greatness, the greatness that you brought into it that made you so good at it in the first place. And so what I recommended to this particular coach is that they implemented monthly client surveys and weekly team check-ins. Now, this is not some weak ass survey that they put out in a link and then asked everybody to fill out and begged everybody to fill out, because actually that doesn't really get the best results in a closed, intimate setting like what coaching allows for within the coach-client relationship. So what I encouraged this particular coach was to do these monthly client surveys in a conversational format, like almost in a way that the client doesn't know what happens. I mean, you want to make sure that they're consenting to answering a couple of questions and giving you honest, valid feedback that is going to be used to ensure that their journey with this particular coach is actually going to be a better one, right? But at the end of the day, these client surveys were, again, it's not a form. It's not some weird thing that they have to fill out and stress about filling out or take time out of their day to do it. No, in the course of the regular process of coaching, the coach is asking insightful, thoughtful questions that give them the answer and that also allow the client to see their growth. Twofold. And then these team check-ins that we had this coach implement added feedback, because now it's everyone's objective in the organization. When they're working with clients, what's going on with the client? Check in with how they're feeling. These are the things that we're trying to mine for and figure out with each client. So be checking for these things with each client. And we are going to check in with each other about those things when we meet. Not, what's going on with this project? Did you close this client? Okay, great work, team, and break. Anybody got time for that? And we're not a sports team, right? You're a business owner, even as a coach. So when you sit down with your team, be checking in on the things that actually matter. And you should know what those things are based upon your inspiration that has verified your vision. Validate your direction by getting feedback that lets you know, is this working? Is this hitting? Is this what I should be doing? Is this what I even want to be doing? How does this feel to us as a team? You want to check in on that too, not just how are the clients feeling, but also are you feeling? I'm very client focused and client centered. So I tend to think about the clients first, but you also want to think about yourself as well. And so what we had this coach do is jump into my coach community after doing the work with them one-on-one to kind of implement all of these things. And while they got into the coach community, they ended up creating a peer support network. So they had never gotten to a place where people were like, come over here and speak and come get in this podcast and join and do this summit with me. And they didn't have any real connection. And so one of the main pieces of feedback that was coming from these monthly client surveys was that this particular coach's client could tell that when life was life for the client, they were kind of showing up a little bit diluted, and they weren't as powerful as they normally were. And so basically the clients were like, listen, not that it's a problem because they still got what they wanted to get out of the coach, but that was like their negative feedback to the coach. And so my recommendation was, you need some community. You are isolated and carrying the weight of all this healing, transformative work, because coaching is a healing modality. And if it's done right, okay, let's just say that if it's done right by qualified coaches. And when it's done right by qualified coaches, it's a healing modality. And that's a lot to carry if you are a coach that's doing it right. And so you need some community. You need your own peer support networks, people to pour into you and uplift you, but also to help you get access to opportunities and learn how to do things that you've never heard about doing. These things are super useful. So I've been using AI for years because I've been in community with techies because I'm a little blurred over here and learning about AI and how to use it as a business owner. And this was way before the world had ChatGPT. And I have been benefiting from closed networks and closed systems, leveraging AI because I was tapped into the right communities. I want that for you too, coach. All right. And I wanted it for this coach. So we set them up with that. And so for this particular coach, she was able to develop her signature coaching framework that truly reflected her values and gifts to transform lives. Remember, she came in and she was like, I feel like I've lost touch with this unique way that I used to save lives. And it was because she was copying what other coaches were doing. And so when we started to survey what actually is hitting for your clients, what's working for them, what's working for you, and what aligns with what you got in to do this for, right? And after all of that and getting some support and being filled up, this coach was flying with this signature coaching framework where regardless of how a client comes in, and even if life is life and for me, I know exactly how to provide them powerful transformational healing work and meet them where they're at every single time. I know exactly how I do it. And it's not the way any other coach does it, right? Because this coach has their authentic distinction. So that was the result of developing those foundational systems. And that's what can be the result for you, coach. Bring in the missing inspiration, bring in the missing feedback, bring in the missing connection for you. Whatever it is that will get you what you're looking for out of that trifecta, it'll give you an opportunity for you to have whatever result will make the most sense for you. But you can't get that result if your foundational systems are broken, because the rest of it is a failing system, okay? Including the coaching business. All right, freelancers, it's your turn. So we took this journey with this one freelancer. This person was actually a designer, and they wanted to be transformed from people come to me to do a flyer, a logo, and it's just like quick project, quick project, quick project. This person wanted to be known as someone's designer. Like, you just keep coming back to me every time you need something designed, instead of these just hodgepodge projects, or every time you have a back to school event, you have me do a flyer. They really wanted some consistency with one client. And that was their dream initially. And the reality is that they weren't going to be able to get that one client because they were trapped in cookie cutter design processes. So every flyer they created, every logo they created kind of looked like everybody else's. And because they were designing the way every other designer designs, other people's systems cannot hold your greatness. And so they were just missing all of this inspiration that used to come from within them, from their creative flow. It was just gone. And so I said, listen, let's work together to create some project milestone reviews as you're working with your clients. You got into this because it was all about creating a connection between the design and your client's clients, right? So you're making a design for your client, and whoever's going to be engaging with that person's design. This person was all about the connection. And they really wanted these designs to like draw in like some partner brand archetype energy. They wanted this person to really draw in all of their own clients and their ideal clients by using the designs that were coming from this particular designer. But the problem was that they weren't sitting with that person and saying, well, I gave you these design assets. What are you going to do with them? How do you plan to use them? Oh, I can help you with that. And so these clients are just coming in to get a project done and then leaving, coming in to get a project done and then leaving. And as freelancers wondering, why won't my design business scale? Why do I only see this particular client twice a year when I could probably see them twice a month? Because I know they have that much going out. Who's doing it for them, and why can't it be me? Thinking all these thoughts. And I said, well, as you ask your clients what they love about working with you, what they loved about the designs that you've given them, and what they plan to do with the designs, you have an open opportunity to explain to them with all the expertise in the world. You plan on doing these two things here are 5 other things I would definitely recommend that you do with the design assets I've given you. And chances are, because they didn't come up with those 5 things, in addition to the 2 they already said, they don't know how to do those 5. And that was something that this particular designer could leverage to be able to do the work with the client and keep them going. Now, this isn't about upselling to get more money. This isn't about stringing a client along with things that they don't need, because people don't pay for things that they don't need. But oftentimes people won't even ask for what they need because they don't know they need it. And it's up to you as an expert or someone who has an eye to let them know that. And when I was clear with this designer that that's what was going on with them, it was easy for them to scale from a freelancing business into, I actually have my own consultancy. I have a consulting business that provides design services. And to have booked contracts with clients that kept coming back with each new design that they wanted to do. And so what I ended up having this particular designer do is develop collaborations with other creatives, get referrals from other creative networks. And when your clients come to you for things that you can't do, because that's not what you're great at as a designer, you collaborate with another designer or another creative who does that thing well. And together y'all smash the project for your client. So you don't lose your client. You're not sending your client off to someone else. And all of that ended up working out. And so this particular designer ended up developing their own unique design methodology. They had customer journeys. So no matter where their clients were at, when they came in, they were able to put them in the right place on that customer journey, hit them with that unique design methodology. And those clients were very happy. They knew that what they were getting was an unforgettable offer. It just felt like a delicious experience because they felt like they were having like this healthy, non-sexual love affair with their designer. It's like they would go, they design all these great things. Oh, I love it. There was just like a lot of passion around what was being created. And these clients love that. They love that atmosphere. They love that environment. And that's who they wanted to do the design work with. And this person went from being a freelancer to hoping that they can book another project so that they can pay rent to within a year. I have a consultancy. This is my methodology. This is the journey I can take you on as a customer. I'm speaking to you, particular type of customer, client avatar, and I can't wait to have unforgettable fun with you. And that messaging, that marketing, that branding, setting up the offers in that way gave them the ability to scale into a consultancy. Right now, they've got 2 or 3 clients. Not 2 or 3 clients, 2 or 3 employees working for them full time. And I'm so happy to see it. And this is like in year 3. So at this point, so that's what I want for all of the freelancers, is to scale, to stop chasing project after project after project, and to get into these longer contracts where you are getting paid for the value that you're going to offer, not per design. And we were able to develop that result for this particular freelancer. So you see it's a little bit different for the coach than it did for the freelancer. But also it's a little bit different for the solopreneur too. They're still missing inspiration, feedback, and connection. But what we ended up doing for this particular solopreneur, she came to us and she needed a whole systems overhaul. The way that she did strategic planning was like this conventional business planning process where she would sit down once a week, review the week, look over into the next week, sit down once a month, review the month, prepare for the next month. And it was this very traditional process that really didn't even fit the cycles of her business or her business model or how her revolution got down. And so what we encouraged her to do was abandon all the conventional business planning methods. If you abandon the way that you were taught to strategically plan, if you abandon SMART goals, what ends up making the most sense for you? And in order to figure that out, we realized, we need analytics and we need quarterly strategic reviews. Without analytics, without dashboards, without actual data to back up what has been happening in your business, it's very difficult to plan. What you do is you end up throwing stuff on the wall that you end up throwing stuff at throughout the next quarter to try to see if you hit it. But you threw it at the wall, so it's not even meant to be hit. It's just kind of something you're reaching for, and that might not even be the right direction for you to go in. And so having the right analytics and the right quarterly strategic reviews, and I'm not talking about analytics that you get from Google or from Instagram about your Instagram pitches. I'm talking about the analytics that come from your business and its operations and its data structure. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then you don't have this set up for yourself as a solopreneur. And that means you are missing the feedback that you need. And that part of your foundational systems is failing. But also this particular solopreneur, she really needed some connection as well. She was very isolated, doing everything by herself up until 3 o'clock in the morning by herself, trying to get everything done, trying to figure out how to do everything because there wasn't anybody to learn from. There wasn't anybody to say, has anybody done this? Because I was about to go do a whole day of research on this when I could just have a conversation with you for 30 minutes and figure it out. And so we got her into my community spaces for fellow entrepreneurs. And the end result for this particular solopreneur is that she was able to build a scalable system that maintained authenticity while she grew her business revenues and her impact. Okay. The business grew, her revenues grew, and her impact grew, but she was able to maintain authenticity. I don't have to do things the way everybody else is doing it. I do not measure according to the analytics that you think I should. I measure according to the analytics that I am proud of, that I got into doing this for, that align with my vision, that align with my original dream and the revolution that I'm leading right now. And these quarterly strategic reviews, they're strategic reviews. We're really looking at the analytics, we're looking at the data, and we're trying to figure out a path forward. What are we seeing? What needs to be changed? What needs to pivot? All of that is happening. And a lot of that is being audited and assessed in the community because there are other entrepreneurs that are around. For me, being in community with a brand strategist, my brand strategist, the Ghetto Country Grandmother, is amazing because it gives me an opportunity to run things by her as a paying client, to be clear. I'm not doing any of this for free or anything, but as a paying client, I get to run things by her because I am not an expert at brand strategy. In fact, I don't get it. So I'm always trying to figure it out. And working with her allows me to keep coming back to that well and saying, how does this work? How does this work? But I need to be in community to even figure out who she was, to know who she was, and to also know that she was the right person for me, you see? And that is how I was able to build my scalable systems. And I want you to be able to do the same thing, solopreneur, because as you evolve from dreamer to visionary to revolutionary, your systems need to be able to grow. And if they don't, you're going to need a systems overhaul, just like this particular solopreneur. So I want you to see what the key is here. The key to each of their successes was working with authentic distinction to add the missing inspiration, feedback, and connection. And so even for you, if you can't work with authentic distinction or don't work with authentic distinction, that's fine. But make sure you add in the missing inspiration, feedback, and connection, because if you don't, you're going to be operating with foundational systems that are failing you. Therefore, anything else you add on top of it is going to fail you. At the end of the day, I don't want you to forget that your systems should serve you. Their job is not to be something else that you need to maintain, like a child or like your business. Your systems should serve you. So while you do need to maintain it, you shouldn't be serving your systems. And at the end of the day, if that's something that you're struggling with, there's help out there. And I want you to know that. And I'm going to give you the implementation strategies for your changemaker type. I'm going to get into that in just a second, but I don't want you to take these implementation strategies that I'm about to give you and turn around and create a failing system from them. I don't want you to do that. I want you to make them real for yourself, tailor them to your entire truth right now. And in the event that you are not sure how to do that, I want you to make sure that you connect with me. That's all you got to do. You can use that QR code to connect with me because quite frankly, I feel like a lot of people don't know the difference between I'm implementing what I think this person said versus I'm implementing what I heard from that person and then morphed it into what is actually going to make the most sense for me. And a lot of people don't get that. And I want you to be someone who will be able to get that. So if it makes a lot of sense, feel free to use this QR code. You can definitely hit me up. I'd love to have a conversation with you about your failing systems. But nonetheless, these implementation strategies that I'm about to give you, they are by changemaker type. I'm just clicking on all the wrong things right now. They are by changemaker type. And so as you get into these, I want you to understand what the solution is at hand, right? The solution at large. You got these implementation strategies for coaches, freelancers, and solopreneurs. And I'm going to break them down by changemaker type because it really does matter what that changemaker type is. And it's going to affect how you want to go about this lotion. to the ashiness of these foundational systems failing you. Okay. So when you have foundational systems and inspiration, feedback, and connection that are failing you, you are in an ashy state with a failing system. And so the lotion that you want to be getting for yourself, if you are a dreamer coach, freelancer, and solopreneur, is for you to implement some inspiration tracking. Document daily moments that spark creativity and motivation. Document it however you want to in a way that works for you. Nobody has to do it in a journal. You don't have to do it in a whiteboard. You don't have to do it in audio voice clips. Do it in a way that makes the most sense for you. And especially do it in a way that allows you to be able to use it later. And then implement weekly feedback loops. That'll allow you to create time and space for insightful conversations with your coaches, your advisors, and your mentors. And if you don't have coaches, advisors, and mentors, you're going to be a dreamer for a very long time. And spurring on your evolution, getting quickly to visionary that's ready to launch something comes when you have coaches, advisors, and mentors who have already been there and who can have these insightful conversations with you to help you get there. And then you also want to build connection rituals. That is when you schedule regular check-ins with your peers, your friends, and your communities that matter to you. This is about fun, uplift, the human in you. That if coaches, advisors, and mentors are for the entrepreneur in you, but your peers, friends, and community are for the human in you. And I want to make sure you build those connection rituals into your everyday. That can't be something that you just save for every 3 months or when you go on vacation. And also, dreamers have their own strategic pause protocols. So I want to make sure that you set aside monthly reflection days to assess your system's alignment. I want you to check for the impact of your inspiration, your feedback loops, and your connection rituals. Are they working? If they're not, pivot them. That's your strategic pause protocol. So every single month, strategically pause, give yourself some reflection days to assess whether or not your foundational systems are actually working for you. And as when you do the inspiration tracking, set up those feedback loops and have those connection rituals, over time, you will be building the foundational systems of inspiration, feedback, and connection that work for you. And for my visionary coaches, your lotion, my visionary coaches, creatives, and business owners, because usually when you evolve from dreamer to visionary as a coach, freelancer, and solopreneur, you become a coach that's doing more, ready to launch the business or take on more clients or scale from one-on-one coaching to group coaching. Or a freelancer usually becomes some kind of multi-hyphenate creative that's doing something in this world, and you've usually named yourself something versus taking on a title. And solopreneurs, they end up becoming business owners. They've launched a business, they're selling offers, they're selling services, they're engaging on their own platform that they've built, and they're making money that way. And so they've become these business owners. So what they need, these visionary coaches, creatives, and business owners, they need to create inspiration capture systems. They need to use something like voice notes or quick sketches to record their innovative ideas. They're usually moving so fast, 100 miles per hour, and then the ideas and the downloads are coming 100 miles per hour. How do you capture them? That's your job, is to create inspiration capture systems. And the next thing that you want to do as an implementation strategy is for you to establish data-driven feedback mechanisms, which is you working with data and evaluation experts to set up your analytics and performance metrics. Chances are, if you are not an expert in data structure, data science, evaluation, you're going to struggle to set up the right structures for your analytics and your performance metrics so that you can track them and assess them to see more about your business, where you're going. You want those kind of feedback mechanisms. But you're not going to be able to create them on your own unless that's what you went to school for and you have a background in it. So make sure that you work with data and evaluation experts in order to set up those analytics and performance metrics. You also want to make sure you're setting up accountability connections. See, it's not enough for you to just be connected. You are a visionary. It is important for you to spend time in communities with, collaborating with, and partnering with fellow changemakers. You want to be around people who will call a thing, but also uplift you, not judge you, but let you know when you fucked up. Okay? What does that look like? You need accountability connections. So you see how the inspiration and the feedback and the connection is a little bit different between the coach and the visionary. So is the strategic pause protocol. The strategic pause protocol for a visionary is for them to take time to break down their big ideas into actionable projects and tasks. And for some of y'all, this is going to be daily. Some of you is going to be weekly, some of you is going to be monthly, but you need to take time to break down those big ideas into an actionable project and task. You need to choose time to make those projects and tasks real though too. So it's twofold. You need to take the time to break down the big ideas into projects and tasks that you can actually swallow, but then you actually need to schedule those projects and tasks in your calendar. Make the time for it, okay? And that's what you want to do if you are one of my visionary coaches, creatives, and business owners. But what about you revolutionaries? Your lotion to all of this inauthentic ashiness that comes from not having the right feedback, inspiration, and connection for yourself. This lotion for revolutionary coaches, agencies, and organizations, because when you get to that revolutionary level, now you've gone beyond being a creative and a business owner in this world. You got an agency and you're running an organization. And as a coach, you could be doing who God knows what at this point, right? As a revolutionary. Likely not even calling yourself a coach anymore. I call myself the Ratchet Sage. I'm not a coach. But moving on from that. Revolutionaries need legacy inspiration. And we need legacy inspiration because we need to record our processes and our methodologies for future scaling of our revolution. Our revolution needs to live beyond us, and it needs to continue to impact this world without our direct involvement. That can only happen when we actually create legacy inspiration. The revolution itself is a legacy of inspiration. But we got to get it out there, and we need to make sure it's sustaining itself when we don't have direct involvement and when we're no longer here. That's important. We also need to develop impact feedback tools, okay? So that is you tracking not just the quantitative, but also the qualitative change metrics from your revolution's impact. So your revolution is out there doing things, changing the world. It's having all of this impact. And a lot of times we do track the quantitative because revolutionaries usually do that at the level that they get to when they evolve to having a revolution. But what we really struggle is to how do I track the qualitative? How do I speak about the qualitative? How do I make that a part of my regular communications so that people understand the impact of this revolution so that they will support me in continuing it beyond my direct involvement? And you also want to make sure that you are facilitating and leading within designed connection spaces, like whether you are leading it because it's your connection space or whether or not you're facilitating within it or you're leading within someone else's connection space. It is very important that you are in environments that foster creative exchanges that multiply collective impact. So make sure you're leading in connection spaces, not just communities, because lots of people have communities, but they're not connection spaces. Pay attention to that. And revolutionaries also have their own strategic pause protocol, okay? And it's different than visionaries and it's different than dreamers. What revolutionaries want to be doing during their strategic pauses is they want to schedule what I call revolution reviews, monthly assessments of the effectiveness and alignment of your systems towards your revolution. So you're not just thinking about, are my systems working? Are they maintained? Are they not going to fail me over the next month, next week, whatever? You're more so focused on those things too, but because that's a part of your regular evaluation, assessment, and maintenance of your business, that's just happening on a normal basis anyway. So these monthly assessments for the effectiveness and alignment of your systems is more about what we're doing with this revolution. Is it actually working? Is it getting us to a place where this can work in this world to fix this world, to impact this world in all the ways I've always wanted it to do without me being directly involved? Is it heading towards that, or is it trapping me more into it? So as you can see, the inauthentic ashiness of not having the right foundational systems for you, right? It really, really boils down to you having implementation strategies that actually fit where you're at in the dreamer, visionary, revolutionary evolution or journey. And it doesn't matter whether you're a coach, a freelancer, or a solopreneur when it comes to how to implement it. It really does matter whether you're a dreamer, a visionary, or a revolutionary. But understand what you're missing from inspiration, what you're missing from feedback, what you're missing from connection is going to depend on whether or not you're a coach, a freelancer, and a solopreneur, like I explained earlier on. So it's question time. My question to you is, what was your biggest aha moment about your systems? Drop it in the comment for me. I will definitely be responding. Not a bot, not somebody on my team. I'd really love to see what you got to say about this. But I do want to summarize our key takeaways because it's time to close out. It's time to wrap this baby up. We talked about 3 critical elements that you're going to need: inspiration, feedback, and connection, and how they're essential for transforming your failing systems into effective ones. We talked about how traditional best practices will not work for you because they do not account for the individual workflows and authentic approaches that you bring to the table. We also talked about how strategic pauses and system audits are crucial for maintaining systems effectiveness across all of the changemaker types. So while they all need strategic pauses and system audits, we got to do them a little bit different for each changemaker type. So I gave you implementation strategies that you are tailoring to who you are, what you got going on right now, and the fact that you are either a dreamer, a visionary, or revolutionary, so that you can get maximized impact out of the implementation strategies that I've given you today and the learnings that I've shared with you today. And I also want you to understand, bottom line, success comes from building systems that align with your natural workflow while incorporating your inspired perspectives, your regular bi-directional feedback, and your direction and dedication in communities that are connected. Okay? So my call to action for you is to never forget your system should serve you, not the other way around. And my hope is that this video empowers you to recognize your unique needs and build systems that support your authentic growth journey. That is how you slay. And in the event that this video resonated with you, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so that you never miss my systems insights for dreamers, visionaries, and revolutionaries. You can smash that like button if you're ready to transform your failing systems into ones that truly serve who you be, what you do, and what you want to be known for. And hey, if you know another coach, freelancer, or entrepreneur who is struggling with systems that just don't work, share this video with them. You can both join my community of change makers who are not afraid to create systems that honor their authentic selves. The link is in the description. And don't forget, you can always book a free consultation with me. Would love to have a conversation with you. This QR code will allow you to book a free consultation with me. And oh my goodness, please make sure you connect with me on social media. I am out here in these internet streets, and you don't have to only get the one video I drop every other week here on my YouTube channel. You can connect with me. I'm actually talking shit and causing shit and stirring up shit out here in these streets on all of these platforms that you can see here. So feel free to benefit from that. You can catch me at the Ratchet Sage on all of these platforms, and it's only on LinkedIn and on Pinterest that I am at Authentic Distinction. So feel free to connect with me. If you use that QR code, you'll be able to see all that I have going on my link bio. And I look forward to seeing you there in my hot link, and you can check out what's going on there for you. So bottom line, I appreciate you. I really do. I appreciate you for rocking with me. Major gratitude for rocking with the Ratchet Sage live. If you joined me live and in your own time and space, if you did not, I appreciate you coming to learn from me and being a part of my world and being willing to change this world with me. So let's close this out and get into my countdown to blow up this video, and then we will close out with my theme song. 5, I want you to stay open so that you can explore as you live and prioritize choice so that you can navigate your life and your world. That's 4. 3, I want you to center acceptance so that you can discern and decide for yourself. And 2, encourage agency so that you and others can innovate. We got a lot going on in this world. We need innovation to fix it. And we're going to need an agency from you and other people in order to fix it. And last but not least, 1, I want you to value your desire. Not nobody else's desire, not theirs over there, not them, what they want for you, not what you want for you is what I want you to value and center so that you can actually activate. That's how that works. So don't forget, stay open, prioritize choice, center your acceptance, encourage your agency, and value your desires so that you can activate. And with that, I'm out. Peace.